When you think of an Undertale fan game, what comes to mind? Undertale, Undertale, and Undertale Yellow probably come to mind first. But what if I were to tell you that there is a Hearthstone-inspired Undertale fan game? Undercards is an underrated, free-to-play browser game that came out in 2016. I will be explaining the gameplay. If you would like to skip, please go to this timestamp. Each player gets 25 cards in their deck. The goal is for you to get your opponent's health bar to 0. At the start of each turn, you draw a card. You can only have 7 cards in your hand at a time. Any cards drawn with a max hand will be destroyed for the remainder of the game. Monsters can be placed on your board to attack. Every turn, the players earn gold, based on the number of turns. This maxes out at 10. The amount of gold determines what cards you can place. Each monster has both attack and health stats, red being attack and green being health. This is a great indicator of what is the best target to attack. A high attack, low health monster would be best suited for attacking the player directly, while the low attack, high health would be better for clearing your opponent's board. Each card has a rarity which determines how many of the same card you may have on your deck. Both starter and common cards have a max of 3. Uncommon cards also have the max of 3, while rare, the only class that has a max of 2. The rarest class types, Legendary and Determination, both have a cap of 1. There are different types of abilities that are important to take note of. Magic activates the written ability as soon as the card is placed on the board. The Dust ability is activated when the monster has been slain. Charge allows the monster to either attack the player or the other opponent's monster without waiting a turn. Similarly, Haste can only attack monsters without waiting a turn. However, this does not apply to attacking the player. Future cards set off an ability after a set number of turns. Dodge allows the monster to take set number of hits before taking any damage. The player can choose from 7 soul types. There have been many revisions of each soul's passive ability, but generally, each soul follows a theme. Determination caters to staying alive and extra chances. Originally, you were given extra lives, each consisting of 10 health. Extra damage would not register. The Bravery ability caters to having a good hand. Originally, you would automatically draw another card if your hand got to 3 or less. This ability has been completely changed to gain a card of your choice to your hand instead. However, if your hand is full, then you can lower the cost of any random monster, up to class rare of course, with -1 cost. Justice specializes in damage. Kindness's strong point is its healing. Kindness heals a tiny bit of your health each turn. Kindness also does the same to ally monsters. Fully healed ally monsters will gain an extra point of health. Integrity's main benefit is the gold. The previously mentioned 10 gold cap has been increased. This part has always been consistent. How much the cap is increased by, and if there even is one, has always varied along with the abilities. It usually varies with getting extra gold and has been debuffed and buffed greatly throughout the game's history. Patience is associated with frost and the cold. Originally, it would paralyze a monster for a few turns before being changed into an extra spell cast. Finally, my favorite soul to play as. Preservant's main gimmick is the care damage, which is Undercards' version of poison damage. The ability is almost exclusive to Preservant itself. Conditions keep changing to what gives an opponent monster KR status. Preservance has always been the most updated soul class in the game. However, KR has always been nearly impossible to get rid of once a monster has the status. Spell cards are unique as using a card grants an ability and is not a card you can place on the board. Each soul has their own exclusive spell cards that correlate to their specialty. The game's first ranking system was a 3-strike system. Lose 3 dogs in a row and rank down, and win 3 dogs in a row and rank up. This was changed very early on to the current ranking system. Lower ranks get higher points when winning and lose less. The difference changes depending on how high you are on the rank. Getting packs have always been really fair. It isn't necessary to pay real currency to progress in the game. It is a big reason as to why I was addicted to this game for so long. You can complete daily challenges to get gold for extra packs. Extra cards can be turned into dust to craft new cards entirely. Card packs can also be gained by leveling up. It is important to note that leveling takes the same amount of effort no matter the level. Some notable quality of life updates are cosmetics. The update added profile pictures, emotes, and banners, all using cute fan art that the community made. These weren't originally in the game. Artists are labeled as such in the chat. I would like to note this is also true for people that have also worked in this game in general. This includes moderators, game testers, and balancers. Players who have reached Legend Ranked will be permanently given a Legend badge in the chat. Another update, which is still here today, is the Friendship update. Players are given 3 cards to choose from at the beginning of the game. This is a great tool for picking out your hand. Friendship points increase by how many times you use the card. Cards with higher friendship points will be more likely to be put in your starting deck. Players can now post and share decks on the hub, a very good tool for those who do not know how to make decks or are new to the game. Major artifacts limit you to 1 artifact, while minor artifacts let you have 2 instead. One artifact in particular, called Spellcaster, invented a new style of playing I like to call the Gambler. Spellcaster works by allowing one spell cast to trigger another random one to another random target. The randomness made it often possible to have a game of all benefit cards going to your opponent and all negative effect cards going to you and your monsters. Because of this, I found that gamblers would be the most often to quit a match. Spellcaster is entirely determined by luck. I have even seen players use this style accidentally slay themselves, resulting in the game over. This is my favorite part and also the thing I'm most looking forward to talking about. I have been an Undercards player since 2016. I love trying to find new decks and I would read the cards extensively. One card in particular sounded very OP. The card Mettaton Neo had 8 attack and 1 health. If it died, it did the number of attack as damage to all enemy monsters and your opponent's health bar. The catch was that it cannot attack normally. I found it really interesting that I have never seen such an OP sounding card used ever. So I added Vulcan, a card that does 2 damage to anything. This is very useful because normally you cannot attack your own monsters. My strategy was to activate Vulcan and Mettaton Neo at the same time. However, to my surprise, I didn't need the Vulcan the majority of the times at first. Apparently, no one reads the cards, so most players would foolishly attack Mettaton Neo, sometimes even having a full board of strong monsters, which would all be wiped out just like that. 8 damage in a game where your health is 30 is a lot. If I could take down my opponent in 1 turn, and if I had a Mettaton Neo and Vulcan in my hand, I would use it. Players quickly caught on, and the card that I have never seen used once was being used by others. Players who encounter Neo would learn and silence it. However, any can't move cards when silenced can move now, so it wasn't entirely useless when silenced. The card quickly had to be balanced, and it no longer does dash damage to player, and it damages everything on the board. However, damage is 13 now. That's how I single-handedly got a game to update a card. Another story is the Flowery card would go back to your deck with 3+ attack each time. The only way to counter it was by silencing it, as every time the card has been slain, it would go back to your deck in an endless loop. Silencing it was the only way to break the cycle. However, my opponent and me only had Flowers. Normally, when there is no monsters left in your deck, you take health damage. However, because of the nature of the card, it would always go back to your deck. We both had to get rid of each other's Flowers or we would lose the game. We took so many turns that Flowers ended up going into the hundreds of attack stat-wise, which is really high because originally the flower only had 1 attack. We took so many turns that the match crashed and it ended with a draw.